Hello, kids. It's Mrs. Janney again. And today we're going to talk a little bit about Pablo Picasso. So you can see him on your screen here. Then we're going to talk about some self-portraits and using his style to create one. So he was born October 25th, 1881, and his father was an art teacher. And he began Pablo's art training when he was 7 years old, and he quickly surpassed his father's skills. And when his father took a teaching position at the Barcelona School of Fine Arts, he asked for Pablo to be tested to get admission into the school, and Pablo impressed them quite a bit, and so he was allowed to enter the Barcelona School of Fine Arts. Then he moved on to Madrid's Royal Academy, which was Spain's most prestigious art school, just at age 16. And while there, he also met fellow artists, Diego Velázquez, Francisco Goya, and El Greco. Let me move my picture so you can see them easily. So I've got an example of them. Now, Diego Velázquez, you can see his portrait in the painting that he did. So he's got himself in the picture, painting the portrait of the children. Then you can see El Greco, which was Pablo's favorite of the artists that he met, and an example of his work. And you can see Francisco Goya and an example of his work. Now, in 1900, he traveled to Paris, France, and that was the center of the arts world at that time. And there he met brother and sister Gertrude and Leo Stein, and they were American art collectors, and they liked Pablo's work. And they also introduced him to Henri Matisse, another famous artist. You can see a picture of Henri there and some of his work. And he became a longtime friend of Pablo Picasso. Now, in 1907, he created with George Rock, and they developed the style of Cubism, and this is what Pablo Picasso is most known for. And this is the three musicians, and we may look at this several times in classes from kindergarten through 7th grade. You'll get to see this particular work. This is Pablo Picasso. The three musicians, you can see the disjointed figures, almost as though they're cut out of paper and glued down flat. And you see positions of the face from different angles. You can see the instruments, the music. Here's a dog underneath, but you don't see the head of the dog. You see his shadow in the background. It's very interesting to look at. Now, Picasso died in, I don't know how to pronounce this correctly, I think it's Malguines, France, on April 8th in 1973. And these are some of his most famous works, and you can see a photo of him in his studio where he worked. Okay, so now we're going to begin our artwork, and I have a picture of Pablo here and some of his artwork, some portraits, some faces to look at, an example of one that I've done before in this style to share with students. We've got our definition of self-portrait here, and that's painting, drawing, sculpture, or photo that is a representation of one's own face and or body. So it just has to represent you as a person. And that can be any way, lots of different versions of self-portraits. So I've got my paper here ready to go. I'm going to be working with a marker so you can see it on camera, but you will be using a pencil. So that way you can erase it if you mess up. We're going to begin with a template. If you're in art class with me watching this, you will get a template to trace. And if you're at home, then you can draw it freehand. I'm not going to draw across the bottom. I'm just going to go from the side here and all the way around the top. Now this template has notches in the side, and that's to help us proportion our face, and I'll tell you about that. This is going to show us where the eyes sit. Because if you look at my face right here, okay, from here, the top of my head, you can still see my finger all the way up here to the top of my head, to the chin. And the eyes sit in the center of the face, not way up here. A lot of people will only draw this portion and they try to stick the eyes way up top, but there's all this other space here you can see. So the eyes go in the middle of the face, and this is where your hair will take over, okay? But we're not going to worry about eyes and nose and mouth and all of that just yet. We're going to work on creating a background for a face, because we're going to add the parts to the face later. We're going to do like the cut out, like the Three Musicians looked like it was cut out of paper. We're going to cut those pieces out of construction paper and glue them on and add them on, all kind of disjointed like cubism would be. So here's our face. I'm going to continue this down off the page, finish, like it's going down towards the shoulders. I want to show not just the front of the face, but also maybe the profile of the face. So I'm going to start at the top and I'm going to add a profile, and it's really easy. I'm going to curve out like this for where the forehead would be, right? And then it kind of cuts in where the eyes would be, and back out to make an area for the nose. Let's see, I need to finish. I'm going to stop there. I needed to do my chin first. Yeah, my chin. There we go. I'm going to take this down. I'm going to curve it back out, like it's going to come back out where the mouth will be, and back out towards the chin there. So I've got this line that looks a little bit like a profile of a face. So we're breaking that face up into two sections. Now I'm going to add some fun stuff like hair and clothing and jewelry and stuff like that I want in my background. So, excuse me. So the front of my head, if I'm turning sideways, swallowed a bubble. Okay. I'm going to add my hair here. And I'm also going to do it on this side. Maybe I'm going to do some weird shapes in there. Now I can add so I've got the basics of a face. And here's one that I did earlier so you can kind of see. I did a little something different with the hair on that one. Okay. I had the collar on there. A little different from this one. Any way you like. It's your artwork, so you create it the way you want it. Now you're going to color it now. Color the entire page. Even create a background so that it looks something like this. Now we can start adding our facial features. So if you're in art class with me, you'll get a copy of this. I'll pull it up to the screen here. And these are just some ideas that I copied off of Pinterest. And we're going to choose 2 eyes, 2 ears, a nose, and a mouth. And we're going to draw them on separate pieces of paper. So you could pause your video and look at these if you need to. I'm going to keep these hanging right here. Like I said, if you're in class, you'll get a copy of that to look at while you're working. At home, you can just get any piece of paper you like. It doesn't have to be construction paper or colored. It could be white paper. If you want color, you can use construction paper. In class, you're going to get a bag that's going to have pre-cut squares and rectangles. It's just to save time, make it easier for the time limitations we have in class. And you're going to pick the parts of the face that you want to draw. So here's an eye from the front. There's an eye from the side. So you want from different positions, not just a front view of the face, but also side views of the face. Here's the nose that I chose to draw. Looks kind of funny, doesn't it? And that's kind of the point of cubism, is to have a little fun and change it up a bit, make it a little more interesting for the viewer. There's my mouth. Here's my 2 ears that I decided to draw. One's on a rectangle, one's on a square, and that's okay. They can be on any shape you want, any color you like. Now you're going to play around with them and start positioning them on the face. So I'm going to put that there, my mouth here, my nose will go there. So you can kind of see how the face is going to start to look. And it's going to create that Picasso, disjointed, all mixed up face, which is what we're going for, making it fun and interesting. Now I'm going to get my glue stick. I'm going to glue these pieces onto my face, and I'll take a photo to show you the finished product when it's all done. Happy art making.